This Week in Startups is brought to you by Campaign Monitor, email marketing platform used by more than 250,000 businesses worldwide. Try Campaign Monitor for free at campaignmonitor.com/twist. Listeners who sign up and become a customer receive a free t-shirt. Breather, workspaces and offices designed for growing companies. Breather offers spaces you can call your own for hours, days, or months at a time. Visit breather.com/twist and experience Breather for yourself with a free full-day booking. And LinkedIn, more than the world's largest professional network, it's also a better way to find great talent. Go to linkedin.com/twist and get a $50 credit toward your first job post.
I am really excited about the next speaker. One of the great joys of my life has been hosting a podcast called This Week in Startups. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that. Jason, I listened to the last pod, and you dropped an F-bomb 37 minutes in, and I talked to producer Checky, and she agreed she's going to bleep that out. My mom gets very upset with the F-bombs. She literally calls me, but she doesn't talk exactly like that. And one of the great things about having a podcast, which we've now done over 850 episodes in the last 10 years, we got there early, is that it gives me an excuse to meet new people. And one of the things I've learned in life, and it's become a mantra inside of our company, never underestimate anyone. And you can extrapolate that as well to never underestimate any product. Don't underestimate any market. And if you do as an investor, it's at your peril. And my next guest has been the highest performing entrepreneur in our portfolio of late. And that's in a portfolio that includes Uber, Robinhood, Wealthfront, Desktop Metal, and a lot of Trello and a bunch of other companies that have hit it out of the park. And we're going to talk a little bit about hypergrowth, but done well. And that founder is Alex Tew. Come on up, Alex. Let's give him a big round of applause. And he's the founder of calm.com. Great to see you, brother. I'm great. We met, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. You came on the pod.
I did.
And we immediately hit it off.
We did.
And I had been practicing medication. I had been self-medicating. I've been practicing meditation for a couple of years at that time because my friend Sam Harris and some other friends had put me onto it, and I've been watching it. Phil Jackson was doing it with Kobe and Shaq. I just thought this fascinating. And I met you, and I heard about your company, calm.com. You came on the podcast. I don't even remember how we met before that. Do you?
I just got an email from Jackie, I think, saying Jason had seen you on, I think it was AngelList.
Yeah.
And you liked, and this was like a month after starting the company, so I don't know how you found Calm, because there was really nothing out there.
Right. And so I was like, And then I looked into your past, and I saw you had done the $1 Million homepage. And I said, I always wanted to meet the genius behind the $1 Million homepage, which is a very polarizing project for some people. I think some people look at it as genius and other people look at it as something else. Explain to people what the $1 Million homepage was and when you had the idea for it.
Yeah, so the $1 Million homepage was a website that I created in 2005 with the sole purpose of making me $1 million because I didn't have $1 million and I was actually really broke and about to start a university degree and didn't want to become more broke, and came up with this idea late at night in a brainstorming session, how could I become a millionaire before I go to university? And I had this crazy idea, what if I sold 1 million pixels of advertising space for $1 each? And it was such a silly idea, I thought maybe it has legs in terms of PR and attention. And if I got any attention, the page would automatically get some value. And if then the ball started rolling, it could actually work. So it was a little bit of a harebrained get-rich-quick scheme, but it worked. And in 4 months, sold out the page. And it's this collage of 3,000 ads. And you can click on them and people buying links effectively. It was good SEO. And it was the most crazy whirlwind time. I was doing 30 interviews a day while trying to study and trying to fulfill these orders, coming in through PayPal every second. And it was a really exciting time that opened up a lot of doors, actually. I met my co-founder at Calm, Michael Acton-Smith, met him at a party I got invited to because of the $1 Million homepage, things like that. So the real value in it wasn't actually the $1 million in the long run. It was actually all the connections and the learnings from it.
Yeah, and I think calling it a get rich quick scheme is like the sort of negative spin on it. I looked at it and just thought this is a brilliant growth hack. This is a brilliant somebody who's got an insight into how humans behave, how humans think, and how society operates, and how the mediascape. I just looked at it, I was like, this is some level of brilliance here. And then we were on the podcast, and I just remember this moment where I couldn't understand how you got calm.com, the domain name, which I am a domain name aficionado, just obsessed with them. It took a long time for me to get inside.com. That was a 12-year pursuit. And these names, as people know, anything in the dictionary that's under whatever, 6, 7, 8 characters is worth millions of dollars. What did you pay for calm.com?
We paid $140,000.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to get that deal through because the guy who owned it wanted $1 million. I didn't have all of the $1 million that I just made with the $1 million homepage, so we had to negotiate. And it took a while. Like I first met him in 2009. It turned out he was this English dude. And I got a train up to Leicestershire, I think, and met him, and he just happened to have this really valuable asset that he was sitting on, and he was waiting for his $1 million payday. And eventually, just with patience, that was 2009. In 2011, I stayed in touch with him over the time, like, hey, are you ready to sell? Are you ready to sell? Like, can't do $1 million, but, something more reasonable. And eventually he did sell. He didn't get a better offer, and he wanted the money, and so we got it for 140 grand, which I think is a good deal for that domain name, especially with what it now has become.
And what's so special to me about what's happened to calm.com is I feel like you saw something in the market so clearly, and when you explained it to me, I was halfway there, but your ability to explain what you were doing made it so easy for me to see. What did you see about meditation and mindfulness 5 years ago that the rest, was it 5 years ago or so now? Yeah, 6
5 or
years,
6, yeah.
5, 6 years ago. What did you see before everybody else?
Yeah, well, it's kind of you to say that I saw it. It actually was just a personal interest that then I thought, if I'm interested in this, if this is benefiting me, if that's meditation, then other people would too. And so I started meditating when I was about 15, 16. This is the early 2000s. And even back then I was thinking, okay, how can I get more people into this? This is really actually beneficial. It's not as weird as people might think. My friends and family thought I was weird. They're like, oh, he's doing his meditation thing. And I thought, well, if I could create a website, maybe they could go to it and learn to meditate in a really kind of simple way. So the idea had been sort of gestating for many, many years, like 10 years before even starting Calm. And it was really about like, how could you take this practice and make it more accessible, more contemporary for a modern audience who are kind of skeptical. And also part of it was wanting to build a product that I wish I had when I was starting out learning to meditate, because I was learning through books, listening to poorly made meditation recordings, and
DVD, CDs, audiobooks,
CDs, having to go into these strange bookshops and little, just it was all a bit kind of
get past the candles and the wish catchers.
It's all a bit under the radar, yeah. So the idea with Calm was to really make a product and a brand that people could relate to in this busy modern world, create something almost cool, make it accessible, contemporary, have beautiful design, don't use kind of crazy religious or overtly spiritual language, just make it really, really down to earth, which is what meditation actually is. Like, it is a very simple set of tools. It doesn't have to be anything to do with religion.
Yeah, some people have added spirituality to it. Totally. Spiritual people can be mindful, but it can just be a mindful exercise. It could just be like working out. Right.
And, mindfulness is a natural component of everyone's life. Like, there are moments when you're more mindful than others. And so meditation is just training in mindfulness, like how you can be more present, have more awareness, focus on what's going on now rather than getting carried away by thoughts of the past or future. It's really, really at its essence simple. It's actually, it's a habit that's quite hard to build. And so that's why having a product like Calm can really help support the building of that habit and help beginners get into it. So that was kind of the genesis of it.
I am obsessed with email. You know this because I'm probably emailing you now about the podcast. We have a This Week in Startups podcast list, and we send all of our listeners updates on the podcast. Who's been on the show, maybe a live episode's coming up, live stream is firing off, and we constantly get new people finding out about our podcast. And so we use Campaign Monitor, which is an easy-to-use email marketing platform. And it comes with incredible templates, and it's got a drag and drop editor, which I'm about to show you here, as well as 24/7 customer support and over 250,000 businesses using them all over the world. But it's so quick to set up something called email automation. What is email automation? This is one of the greatest tools you can add to your startup or business's success. And in the example I'm going to show you, we set up an automation. I'll hit play here and I'll sportscast it. And you see us putting in the logo and putting in some spacing, adding images. And we're telling you about all the different episodes on This Week in Startups. We're seeing a preview on an iPhone. And also, we say, hey, if somebody signs up for the list, wait 15 minutes and then send them this best of email with shows that we've done in the past. And then it says wait 3 days and then send them another best of show. In other words, if you sign up for our mailing list and you just found out about This Week in Startups, we can set this drip campaign to give you drip, 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 a couple of emails letting you know about our events, about past episodes. And people love this kind of stuff. It re-engages people. It's not enough to just collect the email. You have to think about the emails you're sending to people. You have to make them look beautiful. You have to have a clear call to action. And here is your clear call to action right now. I want you to try Campaign Monitor for free at campaignmonitor.com/twist. Listeners who sign up and become a customer will receive a free t-shirt. You can really change the course of your business by using campaignmonitor.com. I love the product. My team loves the product. And let me tell you something. Doing this automation used to be something that you had to work with a developer to do. That's why so few companies did it. Now Campaign Monitor has made it quick and easy, and they have a huge library of examples. So go there right now, campaignmonitor.com/twist. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. And it's fascinating. If you look at this same period of time, the social media addiction has now been definitively correlated with anxiety and depression and other mental illness. And in fact, it's in children being very highly correlated. And they don't know about cause yet, because it could be that the screen time, people who have a predisposition to depression or anxiety are drawn to screens and social media, or it could be they're replacing outdoor activity, which would alleviate anxiety and stress, or the reduction of outdoor time or free play is now increasing anxiety. So it's what's being removed because it's replaced. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. But at the same time, you've used gamification. You've used some of the tips and tricks and growth hacks to help people at the time when Facebook has used it. And I don't want to make this like a Facebook beating up conference, but they deserve it. Debate it. But anyway, they explicitly, to Sean Parker and other Chamath and other people's admission, they just wanted people to take all of their time. You want to make people be more calm.
More calm, less stressed, less anxious, happier, healthier, all of those things. And we can do that by teaching these skills, and we can do it where people are at, which is on their phones, right? Like people are looking at the phone, so why don't we use that platform to create something that actually can be really beneficial? And I think, we're just at the start of a very exciting time for seeing actually the positive effects that phones can have. The technology in itself is not inherently negative. It's what we're using it for. And it just turns out you've got like the smartest minds in the Silicon Valley thinking about how to like just take more of your attention. And, there needs to be a counterbalance, and Calm is part of that story.
Let's go through the last 4 years, because this has been quite a ride for both of us. I met you, I had invested in the cab company, and so you knew that, and you knew the team over there. And I had an interest in investing in what you're doing. This new thing came along called syndicates, which nobody had ever tried before. And you were the first one we were going to do.
Yep.
And you took that huge risk on me to do that syndicate. What was your thinking at the time of why to take that risk on my crazy idea of like, maybe I'll share my little 50K investment with a bunch of other people?
Yeah. Well, I think it was an awesome new platform. So like, I think what AngelList is doing is amazing. And so the idea of like participating in this novel way of fundraising was great. And I think also at the time, the idea of being able to go to you and take a 50 grand check and immediately make it a 400 grand check or whatever it was made sense. And also the other component of it was that not many people were believing in Calm. It wasn't actually easy to raise money in the early days.
Yeah.
And you were one of the folks who saw the opportunity and believed in it. And we've been turned down by so many investors over the years. It's insane. And
take me to some of those moments.
Yeah. Well, okay, I won't name names, but
no, of course not. Yeah.
It's just been in VC meetings where people have just completely slammed the idea, and that just actually gives you more fire. And the worst one is when you're in a VC meeting and like they all start going on their phones, while you're pitching them, and you really know that you've lost them then. But
it is an amazing moment when that happens. You're there, and you're the creator, and they literally look at their email while you're talking.
Yeah.
I had this happen in a VC meeting one time,
Yeah.
and I was so infuriated. It was 10 years ago. That I stopped my presentation and I stared at the person until the rest of the partners like elbowed him and said, "Put your phone down." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was my wife." But it's just so infuriating.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also ironic, right? Because it's the attention problem, right?
Right.
It's
that person needs it most.
they need Calm, I'm like, unless he was checking out Calm, I don't think he was, but
No, but being present is its own reward in life, isn't it? I mean,
right. It is. They think that when they ask people like how happy they are, they find that people report being more happy when they're focused on what they're doing at that moment in time. If they're distracted, they're less happy. They've done these studies, and that makes sense, right? Like, how can you be happy unless you're actually in the present?
It's very easy to be bitter or have reservations or regrets about the past. It's very easy for your mind to be scared about the future. But to be here at this moment, like you and I are,
right,
having this moment right now.
Okay.
This isn't easy. But this is like what it's about.
Yeah.
And so you get turned down by basically everybody except a couple of friends, I think.
Yep, a few friends, and you and the syndicate, and that was the early money. So yeah, we got the round done. It just wasn't. It wasn't like those stories you read about in TechCrunch, like someone raised $3 million in 3 days, and it's like every big Silicon Valley.
What was the total raise in that early round? I can't remember.
Well, we raised $1 million over 2 $500,000 rounds. So it was 2 small chunks, and that was just because we struggled to raise more. But that was great as a blessing in disguise, because that constraint on capital meant we had to be really efficient and not go crazy hiring or spending money wildly. Like, capital constraint is fantastic in the early days.
It certainly makes you focused because you lived with how many months of runway at any given point in time?
Not many. I mean, Calm at one point, I don't think I told you this, Jason, but Calm at one point had less than $10,000 in the bank.
Whoa, I didn't know that. When were you going to tell me?
Yeah,
when you were at 2?
Yeah, or 0.
Or 0.
Yeah. But then we managed to pull out. So like, it's very, touch and go at some points. But now we're in a better place.
For the other founders in the room, if this happens to you, call JCal. It doesn't matter what time it is. We can always get an extra 50K or something and
that's true.
Do a little quick bridgey poo. But I guess you knew that.
I wasn't we would have been able to get some money quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't going to die. Because they say like companies don't die when you run out of money. They die when founders run out of energy.
They give up.
You can always, if you really, really want to make it happen, you can get more money and you can try and restart the thing. If you run out of money, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Don't run out of money, though.
If you can avoid it. But I have seen many companies hit the wall, not make payroll for 2 or 3 payrolls. Everybody, gets by for a couple of weeks and then something magical happens. But we sort of were going along, and I think, what was the app, like $10 one time in the beginning? Was that our model?
Yeah, the $10 for a year. Yeah, it was very, very, very underpriced. Mark Andreessen talks about how, basically his number one advice to folks in his portfolio is raise prices. Like, always, everyone's almost always charging too little, and that was totally true of Calm.
Yeah.
$10 a year, and then we raised it. And when we raised the money, we raised the price to I think $40 a year. The following year, the revenues rocketed because less people converted, but overall, there was much more money.
Which then let you invest in the product
and the growth, and now it's.
So this company that nobody believed in, or few people could get their heads around. I wake up. We were having these sort of private discussions about people who are buzzing around the company. And I wake up one day and on my phone, I see app of the year. And I say to myself, wow, I wonder who is the app of the year from Apple. It's not the game of the year. It's not the productivity tool of the year. It's the app of the year. And it's Calm.
Yeah. That was the same experience for me because we had no prior knowledge.
What?
Yeah. So I woke up,
Apple's a very unique company.
They are unique, yeah. I mean, I woke up...
They picked you as the app of the year and then sent it out to 1 billion iOS devices that you're the app of the year and didn't tell you.
Didn't tell you. The only inkling we had, they had emailed asking for like artwork, and they do this if they feature you, but that happened multiple times for like smaller features just in the App Store, like give us some promotional artwork. And but then they did send through this image that they used on the app of the year and said, oh, hey, does this image like represent Calm okay? And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know what it's for, but yeah, it looks fine. And then that image came up on the App Store's app of the year, and it was a total surprise to us. And yeah, just an amazing moment for the company. And I think I think Apple picked us. I think we've made a great product, but also I think they were trying to send a message that you can use the phone for good things. It's not all bad. I think that's the subtext that they were.
Yeah,
that was there.
And now they have time limits on the phone.
Exactly.
Which is interesting. I think what they should do is if you do your daily Calm, which is only 10 minutes, and you can get a streak going. So if you haven't tried it, it's worth trying. Highly recommend it. And if you don't like it, I will buy you a coffee at the Cafe X machine to refund your Calm. I guarantee you're going to love it. See that? There's a crossover on
nice.
the portfolio there. Always be promoting. It's only 10 minutes. They should make it part of the timeout. If you get a timeout from using too much social, they should say, earn yourself 10 more minutes by doing...
Totally. We suggested that exact idea.
Yeah, I guess it's obvious.
Yeah, but they should open up screen time with an API and let developers who are doing stuff like us use that moment because it's quite valuable.
That would be a great one for me to be on deadline for the next book. If it was like, if you do 1,000 words in Evernote, I'm not an investor, but then you earn your next hour of Twitter.
Right.
The book would be done like 3 years ago. Hey everybody, I always say do the work. Well, I'm doing the work right now in Soma at the Launch Incubator in a Breather. Yes, that's where I do the work, in a beautiful Breather office space. Breather, you can rent an office for an hour or a half day or a day. Well, Breather now has a new product called Breather Offices, where you can get your own office space for 2 people all the way up to 50, and they'll design it for you and put in Wi-Fi and do all the cleaning and make it beautiful. As opposed to going to some co-working space and being out in the open. Nope, you can have your own culture and your own beautiful space. Breather is giving away a full day at a Breather space to the listeners of This Week in Startups. Just go to breather.com/twist. Breather.com/TWIST, and you will get that free full day. Who uses Breather? Wow, look at this list. Virgin, Tesla, Uber, Weight Watchers, Spotify, and Away Luggage. I love all of those brands. And you can get into a Breather office space, how quickly? In just a day or two. There's no waiting, there's no lease, there's no membership, there's no nonsense. Breather is an amazing company. Many people use them to find like an office for the day or an offsite. No, you can use Breather also for office space and have a beautiful office space for 2 to 50 people. And this is a limited time offer. So go to breather.com/twist and you will get to experience Breather for yourself with a free full day booking. That is incredibly generous for my audience. Thank you, Breather. Breather.com/twist. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. So you raised this $1 million and we go for 4 years. What happened in those 4 years when you look back on it that were the key catalysts? We know one of them was raising the prices, but what else?
Raising the prices was definitely one. One other one was hiring a brilliant CTO it was tough to attract engineers to work on Calm because it just was so far outside of what are typically seen as like interesting challenges for most engineers. And so finally convinced a friend of mine, Ben Dowling, to join as CTO. And that was a pivotal moment because we'd been working with a whole bunch of different developers, and just it was a bit shaky, like the app experience. It was a good experience, but it wasn't great. And so we really needed better engineering, better technology, like powering the experience. And so Ben joined and really took the engineering to the next level, made everything reliable and fast and stable and a beautiful experience. And then also the content. So at the end of 2014, we got an email from this lady called Tamara Levitt, who's based in Toronto, saying she wanted to be our community manager. And we actually saw that, well, she could do the content. She's an amazing meditation teacher, and the community management is great, but like, why not be the voice of Calm? And so that was a total pivotal moment too. And so these few different things came together. And so in 2015, at 2014, we did a few $100,000 in revenue, and then the following year we did 2.3 million. So it was like really, fast.
Like a 5x or something.
5x, and we're still growing fast, but that was the most in terms of like multiples 1 year to the next in terms of growth. But so a few of those things came together. So the content, the product, the engineering, and also just building more momentum. Like we were starting to get some attention from Apple, from customers. Like there's a strong organic component. So the flywheel was beginning to turn in 2014, 2015, and then the last 3 years have been just insane.
And it's only in retrospect that you can point out those moments, or in those moments did you have the awareness that this was a pivotal moment? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it definitely at the moment felt pivotal. Like, because Ben, the CTO, joining. I'd been lobbying him for 2 years.
I remember,
to join Calm. I think we even had dinner with him. Like,
I was lobbying him.
Well, like everyone possible. And so I knew if we got him, he would really take the engineering to the next level. And then when Tamara came along, it was just obvious that she was great. Like, she was a great teacher, great voice. Like, she would be brilliant at the content. And so it was apparent at the time.
There's been some public numbers that have come out about Calm. What can you say about those? On Twitter, I think people talked about the valuation of the last round being...
Yeah, 250 million.
250 million.
And so, we raised $27 million earlier this year, led by Insight Venture Partners out of New York. So
great firm.
Yeah, great firm. They've been awesome. And we didn't need to raise money because actually for the last couple of years we've been cash flow positive. And this is the great thing about subscription businesses. If you can crack it, you have basically like an investment coming in every month through your payments. It gave us a lot of like control of our own destiny. So we were able to raise on great terms. Not just a great valuation, but great terms. And so that was great. And then in terms of revenue, so we did 2.3 million in 2015. We did 7 million in 2016. We did 22 million last year, and this year we'll do 80. So we've been still growing, super quickly, and next year definitely north of 100 million. Thank you very much.
Pretty amazing.
Thanks. Which is fun, right? Because no one thought a little meditation app. Oh, your little meditation project. Oh, how's that going? It's okay. It's actually a pretty good business, and but also it's helping millions of people. Like, we have over 1 million paying subscribers, and like they love the product, and it's helping them get better sleep, better relationships, dealing with anxiety, stress. So like the financials are solid, but actually what is so exciting for the team and for myself and Michael and hopefully the investors is just like we're actually making a positive difference in the world, which is really, really cool.
The one thing that, there's many moments that I've been so impressed with you, and I've told you this, that I think you're one of the top, 5 active product creators right now in the industry. And I mean that sincerely. I'm like right up there with Steve Jobs or Jack.
You're too kind, Jason.
Or Elon. Like, just in terms of your ability to conceive of products that don't exist in the world previously. And I knew this became confirmed once again for me when I opened up the app one time and I saw sleep stories. Mm-hmm. And sleep stories for kids. Raise your hand if you have children. Keep your hands up if you've ever had a hard time putting your child to bed. Right? Okay, so it's 100, 100, right? Like, and for the last 2 years or 3 years, my daughter opens up Calm, and she picks a story, and she listens to The Velveteen Rabbit or Magic Flute or whatever it is, read by all these, and then all of a sudden Stephen Fry is doing stuff, and you're getting these incredibly talented people. And for her, now, we went from going to bed being this arduous, difficult task to being delightful. It's like she looks forward to going to bed. And it's a sleep timer, and it just quietly puts her to bed. There's no more drama. This is like a huge pain point for parents. How did that come up?
Yeah, I have to give my co-founder Michael a lot of credit for coming up with sleep stories. He had the original kind of insight there, so he has to definitely take credit for the original inception. He'd been thinking about that idea for a while, and we had seen in the data with the app that a lot of people were using the app at nighttime to help them sleep. They're using the meditations and the nature sounds to get to sleep, and so we were thinking, what more could we do around sleep that wasn't necessarily meditation? And so Michael had this original idea of, basically bedtime. What if we reinvented bedtime stories, which work great for kids, but just make them available for all ages and create these stories with, the world's best voice talent and stories carefully constructed in terms of pacing and narrative, not to be too engaging, so that they keep you awake. Podcasts and audiobooks, they can be too engaging. They're interesting, right?
Last night I was up till 1 o'clock with this, the super agent, Mike Lovitz. His biography came out, and I pre-ordered it. It showed up 2 nights ago. And that's why in the morning I'm pounding 4 of these coffees. This is the greatest audiobook. Michael Lovitz. Right. Who is Michael Lovitz? Just to order it now. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's too engaging.
It's too engaging.
I keep hitting the sleep timer. 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes.
Right. Exactly. It's like Netflix binging, but for audio. So with sleep stories, they start out pretty engaging, and they're nice stories about different places in the world and different things, but they gradually get less interesting and a little more space in between the words, and the voice gets softer, and they're carefully constructed. We've got a lot of data science going on behind the scenes to optimize stories and also the new stories we create. So the premise is simple, but there's a lot that goes into it, and they've been super effective. I mean, sleep has been a huge part of our growth story in the last couple of years, and there's a lot more we want to do around sleep. So.
And you've always envisioned, I remember from the beginning, that this was going to be a brand for the ages. This is not a quick flip. We're not trying to flip this company to another company. You came out with the Calm book, Calm Scent.
Yep, Sleep Mist. Yeah.
Sleep Mist.
Yep.
There's a lot of experiments. Have any of those become material yet, or are they just little product building exercises?
Yeah, it's more that. They're not material from a revenue standpoint, because the subscription side is so much larger, but they've been very material in terms of opening doors for partnerships, even in the hiring process. It's amazing. When we were recruiting, we have someone come in the office, we can give them some Calm products, and they've got something to take home with them and think about. And so they've been great in lots of different ways. I think physical products as part of the long-term brand of Calm will be important. But right now, all the attention's on the digital side, really, because that's where the growth is and the opportunity. And but ultimately, we are building what we think is a lifestyle brand with this very simple premise of bringing more calm into the world. And we talk about how Nike, what they did, they built this amazing brand based on the physical fitness movement, and we're almost trying to do the same, but for mental fitness. And so we sometimes talk about Calm. Ultimately, we want to become Nike for the mind. That's kind of our...
That's fascinating. So that would open up beyond mindfulness or just meditation to other kind of experiences that would be good for your mind.
Totally. Anything that can be good for your mind. I think it was just yesterday was World Mental Health Day. Mental health issues are on the rise, and it's a crisis of the modern age in many ways, because maybe phones are part of it, maybe information, maybe so many different aspects. And so the more we can do to help mental health and provide tools, I think that's going to be critical.
I want to tell you about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. If you've tried to hire someone right now, it is bonkers out there. We are in record low unemployment, and competition for top talent has never been more fierce. I am struggling with this myself, and the solution that we found that's working incredible for us is LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Yes, you know about job boards, and you know how frustrating they are. But think about it. Do you check job boards? Have you ever checked job boards? Nope. There's a place where people go every day to grow professionally and explore jobs. It's the place where they keep their online resume with all their skills on it, right? You know the place I'm talking about. It's LinkedIn. and 70% of the US workforce is there, including the top members of the workforce. Because if you're a driven individual, you keep that page up to date. You go there to look for opportunities. You go there to congratulate your friends and your network on LinkedIn about their new jobs and their new experiences. It's also the best way to find talent. Just asked 100,000 businesses who posted to LinkedIn Jobs over the past year. It's not 10,000, it's now up to 100,000. 22 million professionals view and apply to jobs on LinkedIn every week. That's right. 22 million professionals view and apply to jobs on LinkedIn every week. And LinkedIn considers people's skills, experiences, location, and more to match and promote your job to potential candidates. Think about the data that LinkedIn has on this talent pool. It is unrivaled in the industry. And businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs 40% higher than job boards. That's a very significant number. Everybody knows significant starts at 15%. Here we're saying LinkedIn Jobs 40% higher than job boards at delivering quality candidates. A business is only as strong as its people. That is so true. And every hire matters. So here's your call to action. Go to linkedin.com/twist. LinkedIn.com. You know that website because you go to it all the time. LinkedIn.com/twist. What does the twist stand for? This Week in Startups. TWIST. And you will get a $50 credit towards your first job post. That is linkedin.com/twist for $50. Smackaroos.
And you want to do this for the rest of your life?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I can see that there's enough, to do. There's enough opportunity. There's enough interesting things that in some form or another, I think I will be involved in Calm the rest of my life. I might not be day-to-day operations when I'm 70, but maybe I'm still on the board or whatever. Who knows? But
and this is really when you're making decisions as an early stage investor. There's a number of investors in the audience. When you find a founder who is committed to the mission of the company, it's very apparent that they're not in it for the money, especially when it's something where you're actually making the market. The market did not exist before subscriptions, and you created these apps for it. Mm-hmm. How does your mind work when you conceive of a new product? Have you ever thought in a meta kind of way, because when we have product discussions, and we had one here a couple of years ago, I'm always fascinated by how your mind works in creating new products. And I had the same experience with you, again, confirming, I think, how good you are at this. When I saw an ad for Calm on Instagram, and the ad was...
do nothing for probably 15 seconds, and it has a little countdown.
Right.
So the idea is you're scrolling through a feed, and it's hey, stop and just take a breath, And that's been so successful as an ad. It's insane because people don't see it as an ad; they see it as a piece of content. They see it as an invitation to stop mindlessly scrolling, which is we were doing every day. So that's been a major part of our user acquisition story, and that itself was based on a website that was prior to Calm that myself and Ben, the former CTO of Calm, created called DoNothingFor2Minutes.com, and that was an invitation to do nothing for 2 minutes, and it had a countdown from 2 minutes to 0. And if you moved the mouse or keyboard, it would reset to 2 and say, try again. And it went super viral. It was just for fun. We just built this in a couple of hours and seeded it on Twitter, and it went from 0 to 1 million visitors in a week, or 2 million. And only 50% of the people who hit the page could get to the end. It was crazy.
Right.
So
Point proven.
But...
it's almost like the perfect MVP.
It was an MVP, exactly. And the great thing is the people who did get to the end, we rewarded them with the opportunity to put in their email address. So then when we did launch Calm, some time later, we would email them about more tools, because if they enjoyed that experience, so that's how we got our first 100,000 email addresses that then seeded calm.com, the website, when it first...
How long did it take to hit that moment of sort of genius to come up with that page?
That was also a late night brainstorming session, and in the same spirit of the $1 Million homepage, that was based on asking myself questions, sort of probing your own mind. And so the question I'd written down for that one was, what would the simplest website in the world be? And the simplest website in the world would be a website that did nothing. And so, why do we invite people to do nothing? And then that's sort of how the idea came out. So I love the idea of probing and asking questions and then just seeing what your brain comes out with and just going with it. So those kind of just scribbling ideas, but that's kind of often how ideas come out.
What about was it Checky?
Checky, yeah.
This was a fascinating one. You were so ahead of the curve on this. I don't know if this was 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
4 years, yeah.
4 years ago. Explain what Checky was.
Yeah, Checky came out of a little mini hackathon. And when I say hackathon, it was just me and one engineer at the time. So, every day was a hackathon. But, we thought, what could we... Basically, we were talking about the idea of checking, how often do we check our phones? And then we were just brainstorming and thought, well, what if we had an app that told you how many times you checked your phone, and we called it Checky? And it's just a little bit ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
It's almost ironic. And
it's pretty meta.
It's pretty meta, and it's a bit silly. And there's a thread. There's a lot of silliness in the ideas I come up with. But we built it in a day, launched it, and then the next day, Stephen Colbert opened his show and did 3 minutes on Checky because he found it hilarious. That there's an app called Checky that's telling you how many times a day you check your phone. And it's just, he did this whole bit, and it was very funny. And that got 500,000 downloads or something like that, and actually drove a bunch more traffic to Calm. So it's fun to step out of the day-to-day occasionally and just come up with these random, silly ideas that might help the sort of the main company. But
yeah, it's fascinating. I've always found this ability to just thread the needle so perfectly as your gift to really be able to capture people's attention. Do you think in another life you should have been a stand-up or a comedic writer, or what would you have been if you didn't get into, building products on the internet?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that? What's the secret career?
Well, I mean,
documentary films. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something creative. I mean, I grew up loving drawing and design, and I'm sort of a frustrated graphic designer. Yeah, so I think something in design, something in creativity. I don't think stand-up is my forte.
Yeah, but it does seem like every product has a little bit of irony or paradox in it.
I think so. I think my own pet theory is there's an element of attention seeking to it. Doing something a little crazy and trying to get attention. Hey, look at this silly idea I created. And I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and so there's an element of trying to get attention by being a bit of a smartass or something. So
yeah.
That's my
you suspended a lot in school? You got sent to
No,
detention?
I wasn't. I was actually a good student when I went.
Yeah. When you chose to go. Well, listen, I just want to let you know, it's just personally been super gratifying to be along for the ride. Obviously, it's, it's been incredible success, but it really, to me, when people... I don't know if you remember this Quora question, but right after we did the investment, somebody wrote a Quora question.
I remember, yeah.
And they were like, Jason Calacanis is a schmuck. I'm like, okay. And they're like, is he going to lose $400,000 investing in Calm?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's just such a horrible question to write. And I write this really passionate response. Mm-hmm. And then I just realized during our conversation that you wrote that question.
No.
To get attention. This is the ultimate growth hack. You did this to me. You trolled me 4 years ago and wrote this question.
Not true. Not true.
No. But this would be a great Alex Tew-like thing to do.
Possibly.
What would you do to solve? What would you do to solve the social media problem? If you were going to create a social network from the bottom up with your mind, just think about it for a second.
Now you're putting me on the spot.
I know, and I like this because I like your thought process too. But if you were going to do that, if you were going to say, hey, listen, Twitter is so reactionary, people are angry and retweeting all these devices, or Facebook is manipulating you by putting the things with the most engagement first, what would you do?
I would think about a social network that kind of doesn't demand your attention, almost rewards you for not using it that much. Flip it on its head. I think one quick way to come up with ideas is to take something flip it on it. What's the opposite? Thinking what's the opposite of Facebook or whatever. And so maybe a network that the more you didn't use it, the better it got. I don't know what that would come into fruition, but
one post a day.
Yeah, or something you can only get into it if you haven't used it for a while. Something like that, or you build currency if you're mindfully engaged, which means not.
What if you made a social network that you could only add people you didn't know?
I think that exists.
It does?
Yeah, I think it's Tinder, isn't it?
I guess that's right. Well played. All right, on that note, the amazing Alex Tew.
Sure. Thank you.